What if everything you've ever been told about success and failure is, well, wrong? What if it's not just about grinding harder and thinking positive? Today, we're going to unpack the really provocative ideas from J.T. Ingram's book, Bark More, Wag Less, and explore a tough question. Is failing over and over again a personal problem, or is it a sign of some hidden social system we're all caught in? This quote from the book's foreword just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It pushes back, and it pushes back hard against that whole culture of radical self-responsibility. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, there are other things going on that we almost never talk about. The author, J.T. Ingram, basically argues that our whole modern so-called civilized society is running on a much more primal operating system than we like to admit. He's saying we secretly act like a pack of animals, constantly sizing each other up and assigning roles based on these really deep biological instincts. Okay, so to really get what Ingram's talking about, we have to start with the main metaphor he uses, the dog pack. Now, it's a stark comparison, maybe even a little uncomfortable, but it is absolutely the key to his entire theory about how we structure ourselves. So, first things first, let's be really clear about what Ingram means by an underdog. This is not about someone who isn't talented or doesn't have value. It's the opposite. He's talking about a valuable person whose work just gets ignored, someone who is essentially made to feel invisible by the group. And this is where he just brutally lays out this unspoken social contract that he believes is running the show. He claims society basically sends out three very different messages. For the alphas, it's a clear, you're supposed to lead. For the underdogs, it's your job is to follow. And for the lowest ranked, who he calls the runs, it's this chilling expectation to just fail and disappear. And look, according to Ingram, this isn't some new thing from the corporate world or social media. He argues this deep need to rank ourselves and figure out status is a fundamental biological part of who we are. It's an instinct we've been carrying around for thousands and thousands of years. So this whole framework forces us to face a really critical and, controversial question. What's the point of looking at the world this way? And this is the core dilemma, isn't it? If you're someone who has done everything right, but you're still not getting anywhere, could this theory feel liberating? Like, oh, it's not just me. Or is it actually a dangerous idea that just gives people a free pass to blame some invisible system for their own problems? You can really see the two worldviews clashing right here. On one side, you've got this deeply ingrained cultural belief that you are the master of your own destiny, 100%. And on the other, you have Ingram's view, which says you're basically a player in a game where the rules and your role are being assigned unconsciously by the rest of the pack. Now, this is such a crucial point in the book. It's a direct shot at that whole genre of self-help that says, just copy the habits of successful people. Ingram says that's pointless because the pack doesn't react to what you do, it reacts to the perceived status of who's doing it. So the exact same action from an alpha and an underdog gets two completely different results. So if it's not just about what you do, what does Ingram claim is really driving all of this? The answer, he says, has less to do with our conscious choices and a lot more to do with our primal biology. The book suggests we're all constantly sending and receiving this stream of tiny, nonverbal signals. We're talking about posture, the way you hold eye contact, your general body language, and he even brings up research suggesting that something as basic as smell can play a role in how we unconsciously rank each other. For Ingram, the answer to almost every question is status. He argues it's the invisible currency that decides who gets heard, who gets that promotion, and who gets a shot. In what he calls the attention economy, your actual merit can end up taking a back seat to this primal perception of status. But right when the theory seems to take away all of your personal power, the book's appendix throws in this really fascinating twist. It suggests that when you take full responsibility, even blame, for your failures, you are at the same time claiming the power to create your own future. It's a really counterintuitive way to think about taking back control. Okay, this brings us to a really important point. These ideas are interesting to talk about. What is their real-world psychological impact? Especially on someone who already feels completely beaten down by life. The author makes a critical distinction here. He separates what he calls underdog groups, like historically marginalized communities, from underdog individuals. His whole point is that even within the most privileged groups imaginable, you'll still find these internal pack dynamics that create alphas and underdogs. This hierarchy, he claims, is everywhere. And if you follow that logic, Ingram makes a pretty sharp critique of some well-intentioned empowerment efforts. He argues they often don't change the fundamental dynamic. Instead, they just end up identifying and promoting the natural alphas from within that underdog group, while leaving the individual underdogs in that same group right where they were. And we just have to ask, right? If you're feeling lost and invisible, does hearing that you're an underdog trapped in some biological system actually help you? Or does it just make you feel even more helpless, making it that much harder to even try? So if we accept even a part of this framework as a possibility, where does that leave us? What are we supposed to actually do with this information? Well, the book lays out some pretty stark choices. You can just conform, wag your tail, and follow the leader. You can suffer quietly and hope for the best. You can start making noise, what Ingram calls barking, but you risk the whole pack turning on you for stepping out of line. Or, and this is maybe the hardest one, you can just try to create a whole new game. And this brings us right to the title. The core advice isn't about becoming aggressive, not about biting. It's really a call for self-respect. It means cutting back on the people-pleasing, the tail-wagging, and turning up the volume on the assertive, barking behaviors that demand to be seen and heard. Ultimately, the book delivers a really cynical verdict on the traditional paths to success. It basically claims the game is rigged, not necessarily because people are evil, but because of these unconscious biological systems that just happen to favor certain types of people from the very beginning. And that leaves us with the final question. There are no easy answers here. But if you accept this idea, even just as a thought experiment, it forces you to ask a powerful question. If the game is rigged, does that change how you play? Does it change how you think about your career, your goals, and your whole definition of a life well lived? What would playing your own game even look like?